Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today is, well, it's a really rigorous and honest look at a complex journey, one that far too many men in midlife face, but, seldom speak about openly.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about navigating love, dating, and intimacy after 50.
Yeah,
And we're here not just for quick tips, but to offer a serious blueprint.
yeah.
Something for reclaiming identity, rebuilding that confidence, and really building a rewarding future, not just settling.
It's such a vital conversation
Oh, yeah.
because the emotional starting point for so many men in this demographic, it's also rooted in some pretty profound upheaval.
Right.
We're seeing this gray divorce phenomenon. I mean, the rates for men over 50 divorcing have actually doubled since 1980 and
Right.
tripled for those over 65.
Wow, tripled.
Yeah. And the sources we looked at, they point out this isn't just about losing a partner. It often results in this quiet loss of identity,
Yeah.
routine, sense of direction. It all gets shaken up.
Yeah, that feeling of being totally adrift, like the map's just been pulled out from under you, it's profoundly real for a lot of guys.
Absolutely. And it often kicks off this secret internal struggle with, frankly, debilitating loneliness, something men often feel they have to just power through alone. They're not equipped or maybe not taught how to handle it openly.
But here's the crucial pivot, right? The optimism that really drives the sources we're diving into today. This specific age, your 50s, 60s, even beyond it, brings tremendous unique assets.
That's so important to emphasize.
Yeah, we're talking about valuable accumulated wisdom, maybe more financial stability than when you were younger, certainly emotional depth. And if you leverage these correctly, they can actually lead to the most meaningful, grounded, and rewarding relationships of your entire life.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Absolutely. So our mission today is to take these source materials, the research, the studies, interviews with men who've successfully navigated this, and provide a real blueprint.
Okay.
And look, this isn't a guide full of pickup lines or, superficial strategies.
Yeah.
It's a guide for engineering that internal confidence first, understanding what mature relationships truly demand now, and finding practical, non-judgmental steps for maintaining a vibrant, intimate life well into your later decades.
Okay, let's unpack this blueprint then. And it starts like all profound change really has to, not with the outside world, but internally, with an internal shift.
That's right.
Our research really emphasizes this foundational requirement, the power of taking responsibility.
This is the non-negotiable first step. Look, after a major life change, separation, divorce, even job loss,
Yeah,
the natural, maybe easier path is avoidance.
sure. Distraction.
Exactly. Burying yourself in work, maybe drinking a bit too much,
Yeah.
sinking into blame, blaming the ex, blaming fate, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the first true act of rebuilding self-respect, according to the sources, is deciding to consciously stand up, take absolute responsibility for your current life situation, and rebuild from within.
So really rejecting that victim mindset.
Decisively rejecting it.
Yeah.
You have to see yourself as the agent in your own recovery, not just someone things happen to.
And the mindset shift needed here, it's fundamental, because culturally, men in their 50s, we often feel like, well, maybe we've peaked, or the best days are behind us. We carry the weight of the past.
That's a common narrative.
But what's genuinely transformative when you look at the data is the sheer math of longevity. Actuarial data suggests life expectancy for a 50-year-old man today, it can be nearly 90 years.
Think about that.
Yeah, we're talking about potentially 35, 40 more years of conscious, active living. When you really grasp that, you realize you're not winding down.
Not at all.
You're just getting started on a completely new chapter, maybe a more intentional one. It's like a second chance to consciously decide who you want to be now.
But we do need to acknowledge the shadow side of this period, too, which is confronting pain and loneliness.
Right. Can't skip over that.
No. Loneliness is, it's described as a silent epidemic for men over 50. And what's important is understanding how it often manifests. It doesn't always look like crying or overt sadness.
How does it look then?
Often it shows up as just prolonged periods of solitude, a reluctance to engage socially, a total suppression of feelings that classic male stoicism we're taught is strength.
And the danger there with that specific kind of male loneliness is it becomes self-perpetuating, doesn't it?
It really does. The longer you spend isolated, the harder it feels to reach out. You start having thoughts like, oh, I've been out of touch too long, or my problems are too complicated, nobody will get it.
Yeah, that internal narrative kicks in.
And that psychological isolation, it's a destructive cycle. It actively prevents the rebuilding process.
So what's the way through? The sources must offer something actionable.
They do. And it's powerful. It's about using pain as power.
Okay, explain that. Use pain as power.
Instead of masking the pain with, temporary external fixes alcohol, overworking, endless distraction. You have to practice sitting with those difficult feelings. The anger, the regret, the sadness.
Just sit with it.
Sit with it and consciously ask, what is this feeling trying to teach me? Pain often reveals where your boundaries were weak, maybe, or what you truly value but lost sight of.
Ah, okay, so it's information.
Exactly. That awareness becomes the necessary fuel for constructive action. If you feel terrible, that raw energy can be redirected into the gym, maybe a new professional certification, defining a personal project you care about.
Rather than just numbing it.
Right. Rather than using that energy to fuel more avoidance.
That leads us right into redefining strength, doesn't it? Because we've been conditioned, I think, to confuse emotional strength with silence, with total suppression.
Absolutely. If a man has spent decades holding back vulnerability, just manning up, it's frankly terrifying to suddenly face the silence when the noise of the old life, the old routine, is gone.
So what is true emotional strength according to this research?
True emotional strength is defined as the courage to face what affects you, the good and the bad, with radical honesty and self-respect.
Honesty with yourself first.
First and foremost, that classic man-up reflex, the emotional suppression, it actually creates this huge, insulating barrier to intimacy.
How so?
Well, you can't genuinely connect with a new partner if you're fundamentally disconnected from your own emotional world. A potential partner, especially a mature one, needs to know they're connecting with the real you. Flaws, struggles, the whole package.
Right. Authenticity.
Exactly. Speaking your truth, even when it's hard, and having the courage to actually ask for support when you need it. That takes far more internal fortitude, far more real strength than just bottling it all up.
Okay. So let's say a man commits to that internal honesty. He's doing the work. How does he project that renewed sense of self into the world? How does that translate outwardly?
Yeah, that's the next step. It funnels into establishing self-worth and presence. Think about it. After a setback, divorce, job loss, whatever, it's almost instinctive to physically kind of shrink back. Shoulder slump, eyes look down, you move more tentatively.
I can picture that. A lack of confidence made visible.
Precisely. So presence is the outward manifestation of that internal self-worth you're rebuilding, and it has to start with intention. You need to actively counter that shrinking tendency. What are the techniques? What does that look like practically? The techniques are deceptively simple, but the sources say they're profoundly effective. Intentionally stand tall, shoulders back.
Posture matters.
Immensely. Maintain direct, steady eye contact when you speak to people. And this is key. Speak slowly and clearly. Modulate your voice.
Why slowly and clearly?
It projects control and confidence. Rushing your words can signal nervousness or a feeling of unworthiness. When you combine confident posture, eye contact, and deliberate speech, you project self-worth. Walk with purpose, not shuffling.
And this projection, it's not just for others, is it? It signals something back to yourself, too.
That's the critical part. It signals to yourself, first and foremost, that you are a man worthy of attention and respect. It reinforces the internal work.
And the confidence needed for dating successfully at this age, it really has to be earned internally first. Which is why this concept of the personal code resonated so strongly in the sources.
Yes, the personal code. You've essentially earned a second chance, right? A chance to define who you are now, independent of past roles like husband or maybe even a specific career identity.
So what is this code? How do you create one?
Well, the idea is that a man without defined standards tends to drift. And drifting signals instability, which isn't attractive to potential long-term partners.
Makes sense.
So the advice is practical. Actually write down a set of, say, 3 to 5 unshakable principles for yourself, your personal code.
Like what kind of principles?
Could be anything that resonates with the man you want to be now. Things like radical honesty, absolute integrity, punctuality, self-reliance, kindness, maybe courage.
And it's not just writing them down?
Oh, absolutely not. The act of drafting it is important, but living by it consistently, day in and day out, that's what earns you self-respect first.
Give me an example.
Okay, say integrity is part of your code. That means you show up on time for commitments. You follow through on what you say you'll do. You state your intentions clearly in dating, even if it's uncomfortable.
So living the code builds self-respect.
Exactly. And a man who genuinely respects himself, who holds himself to his own high standard, naturally commands respect from others. That internal stability becomes perhaps the most attractive trait in mature dating.
That standard of self-respect, it has to extend physically too, doesn't it? Which brings us to prioritizing health and community. You can't really separate self-respect from physical well-being.
You really can't. The sources are clear on this. Strength training, for instance, lifting weights. It isn't about trying to look 25 again or chasing vanity.
What's it about then?
It's about building mastery,
Ah.
feeling capable, demonstrating control over one small yet crucial area of your life when other areas might feel chaotic.
The discipline aspect.
Yes. It builds this resilient, action-oriented confidence. It sends a signal to yourself and others that says, I am disciplined. I am capable of maintaining myself. I am here for the long haul.
And that signal is important to potential partners.
Incredibly important, especially to women who are also looking ahead to the next few decades and want someone reliable and, frankly, healthy beside them.
Okay, and the second part of that heading, community. Why is that critical for the internal foundation?
This is the final critical piece, combating isolation. The sources are absolutely definitive here. You cannot rise alone, especially not after a major life disruption.
Why is isolation so destructive for men particularly?
Well, for men who've lost their daily structure, maybe from retirement or divorce,
Yeah.
isolation can be swift and devastating. It breeds negative thought cycles.
So the advice is?
Actively pursue and find a genuine brotherhood. And that doesn't just mean casual buddies you watch sports with.
What does it mean then?
It means finding trusted men who will challenge you respectfully, hold you accountable when you slip back into old patterns, and support you without judgment when things get tough.
Where do you find these kinds of connections?
Look beyond just casual acquaintances. Seek out structured fitness groups where there's shared effort, specialized hobby clubs, professional mastermind circles, mentorships even.
Groups with a purpose.
Exactly. The sources show that having even just a handful of trusted peers makes the journey out of those difficult moments significantly faster and more certain. Why? Because you get objective external perspective, not just your own inner turmoil echoing back at you.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Build the internal foundation first.
Yeah.
Responsibility, confront pain, redefine strength, build presence, live by a code, prioritize health, find community. That's a lot of work.
It is work, but it's the work that makes everything else possible.
Right, so let's transition now. Using that newly established internal self-respect as our launch pad. Once a man has that clarity, that earned confidence, how does it change what he actually seeks in the dating world? The sources indicate a pretty profound shift in priorities for men over 50.
Oh, absolutely. This is a crucial distinction to make. You know, the media often pushes this stereotype of the newly single older guy just chasing excitement, maybe younger women.
The midlife crisis cliche.
Exactly. And while, look, physical attraction absolutely remains important, men in their 50s generally retain a healthy libido. The foundation of what they're seeking shifts radically away from the superficial.
So if it's not just superficial excitement, what shifts into that primary position? What are they really looking for?
Our data, the research we looked at, shows overwhelmingly that companionship takes precedence.
Companionship, more than just dating.
Yes. It's no longer primarily about the thrill of the chase or just immediate physical chemistry, although those are nice bonuses. It's about finding a genuinely trusted friend, someone to share life's simple pleasures with.
Like what kind of simple pleasures?
Things like cherishing time spent cooking a meal together, discussing a good book or article, engaging in shared hobbies, whether it's hiking or going to museums, or simply relaxing side by side, comfortable silence.
So less focus on constant novelty or high-octane adventure.
Much less. The primary goal, for many, becomes finding that permanent, reliable plus one, someone who genuinely enriches daily life, not just the weekend.
And that priority, that desire for companionship, it seems linked to another key desire, emotional depth and stability.
They go hand in hand. Men at this stage, particularly if you've been through a difficult relationship or divorce, are often tired of superficial connections. They really value partners who can engage in meaningful, robust conversations.
Someone who can be a sounding board.
Yes, and more. Someone who offers mutual support. Because, let's face it, life after 50 brings its own set of challenges. Aging parents, navigating relationships with adult children, maybe career shifts, health scares.
Right, the stakes feel higher.
They do. And having a partner who provides emotional stability, who you can count on through those inevitable ups and downs, becomes absolutely critical. It's about future-proofing the partnership.
Okay, so if companionship and stability are the core goals, what specific key qualities actually attract men who are looking for this kind of mature partnership? The lists we saw really highlight enduring character traits over fleeting ones.
That's right. The first quality that comes up frequently is emotional vitality.
Emotional vitality. What does that mean exactly? Is it just being bubbly?
No, not necessarily bubbly or manic energy. We need to define this carefully. It means a woman who possesses a kind of resilient sense of hopefulness and enthusiasm for her own life, and the ability to face life stresses with a degree of emotional balance.
Ah, so it signals she's done her own work.
Precisely. It signals she isn't looking for a partner to rescue her or fill some giant void in her life. She brings her own full cup to the relationship.
Okay, that makes sense. What else?
Then we get to the absolute core, character. After decades of life experience and potentially navigating a painful divorce or betrayal, the non-negotiables really crystallize.
Things like,
Dependability, deep, genuine kindness, loyalty, huge one, and intelligence, not just book smarts, but emotional intelligence. These are the attributes that offer reassurance. They're what sustain a connection over potentially 30 years.
yeah, you can see why men who've been hurt would prioritize those above almost everything else.
Absolutely. Next up is confidence and independence. This ties back to that emotional vitality point.
How so?
Men at this stage deeply appreciate partners who have their own interests, maybe their own careers, their own well-defined social circles and friendships. She shouldn't rely on the relationship for her entire identity or happiness.
That sounds like a relief, actually.
It is a huge relief for many men. It reduces that feeling of performance anxiety or the pressure that can come when one person is overly reliant on the other for their entire sense of self-worth or social life. It allows both individuals to grow separately while still maintaining a strong connection.
And a point that comes up again and again in the feedback from men who are actually thriving in new relationships post-50 is this demand for calm over drama.
Zero tolerance.
Hmm.
Mature men, generally speaking, have very little patience for unnecessary conflict or manufactured tension.
They've had enough drama, perhaps.
Perhaps. They seek relationships built on peace, mutual respect, and this is crucial collaborative problem solving.
What does that look like in practice? Collaborative problem solving.
It means being able to distinguish between necessary, sometimes difficult negotiation, like discussing complex family boundaries, which we'll get to, and unnecessary conflict fueled by insecurity or emotional volatility.
So communicating differently.
Yes. Mature partners tend to use I statements. They focus on finding solutions together rather than assigning blame. They avoid personal attacks. There's an understanding that the peace and harmony of the home is often worth more than being right in some minor argument.
That clarity on core values seems vital, which is why long-term compatibility, judged through a realistic lens, becomes so important.
It really does. Short-term chemistry, or that initial physical spark, while nice, takes a distinct backseat to aligning on shared values regarding critical practical topics.
Because you're potentially building something for the long haul.
Exactly. When you're talking about a partnership that could last decades, you simply must align on the big things. Financial stability and approaches to money. How to manage complicated family dynamics, especially adult children and former spouses. And, importantly, mutual retirement plans and visions.
Yeah, those aren't exactly sexy topics for a first date.
They're not. But they are the absolute bedrock upon which long-term trust and compatibility are built. If a couple has fundamentally different views on saving versus spending, or where they want to live in retirement, or how involved they'll be with grandkids,
It's going to cause friction down the line.
serious friction. No matter how great the chemistry is today, getting clear on those shared values early on is essential.
Okay, that provides a really clear picture of the what. Now let's dive into the how. Section 3 is about navigating complexities, the practical realities of family, finances, and the need for honesty when dating after 50. These existing life commitments, they add layers, don't they?
Oh, significant layers. Accumulated baggage is real children, assets, ex-spouses. Let's start with something foundational: timing and intentionality.
Right. When should a man even start dating after a major split?
This is probably the single most consistent piece of advice we saw from therapists, coaches, relationship experts cited in the sources. Wait at least a year after the divorce is finalized before seriously dating.
A whole year? Why so long? Is it just about getting over the ex?
It's less about mandatory recovery from the marriage itself and more about dedicating that time to actively working on the new you we talked about earlier.
Ah, the internal work.
Exactly. It's the time to restructure your finances, get real clarity on your new life goals, maybe reconnect with yourself, and truly rebuild that internal foundation, the confidence, the self-respect.
I think men often miss the signal they send by jumping back out there immediately. It can come across as desperate.
It really can. Rushing often signals rebound to potential partners. And women, especially mature women, are often very attuned to sensing that desperation, that neediness. which is the polar opposite of the stable, grounded competence they're usually seeking.
So the goal is to start dating from a place of wholeness.
Yes, a place of, I want to share my already intentional, fulfilling life with someone, not, I need someone to fix my loneliness or complete me. Big difference.
Okay, so timing is crucial. What comes next? Honesty seems paramount.
The honesty imperative. And this goes beyond just not telling lies. It requires real candor
Mm.
early on in the dating process about what you genuinely seek.
Meaning,
Meaning, are you looking for a committed, long-term partnership? Or are you looking for something more casual right now, trying to be all things to all women, or keeping your options deliberately vague? It almost always backfires. Be clear about your intentions.
and this honesty, it has to extend to those tricky logistical areas too, right? Ex-partners and children.
Absolutely crucial. Evasiveness here is a massive red flag for most women. If you're cagey about your relationship with your ex, or the financial or emotional reality of your kids' lives,
She's going to assume you're hiding something.
exactly. Either hiding something significant, or perhaps that you're just not serious about building a future that integrates your past. It suggests you haven't made peace with your previous life chapter.
That transparency seems like the only way to manage the next piece. Family integration and boundaries. This is huge.
Huge. A potential partner simply must understand and respect that your children, even if they are adults with their own lives and families, may sometimes need to come first. That's just reality.
And trying to force a choice.
Forcing a partner to compete with your kids,
Mm.
or making them feel like they have to choose between the new partner and the children, that's a common mistake, and it almost guarantees relationship damage. It puts everyone in an impossible position.
There was an interesting note in the research about pairing, that dating women who are also mothers can sometimes be beneficial.
Yes, that came up. Why? Because a woman who is also a mother often inherently understands the complexities, the commitment involved in prioritizing kids, the occasional need for flexibility. Shared parenting experiences, even if the kids are grown, can actually create a deeper bond through mutual empathy and understanding.
Makes sense. Okay, but what about the other key figure from the past? The ex-spouse. Setting boundaries there must be critical for the new relationship.
Critically important. Look, maintaining an amicable, respectful relationship with an ex is fantastic, especially if you're co-parenting younger children. But you must draw healthy boundaries to protect the new relationship.
Give an example of a boundary violation.
Continually prioritizing an ex's non-emergency needs sends a disastrous message. Let's say you repeatedly cut a date short or cancel plans with your new partner because your ex-wife needs help setting up her new smart TV or fixing some minor computer glitch she could call tech support for.
What message does that send?
It signals to your new partner that the ex still holds too much emotional precedence, too much power in your life. It creates immediate friction, insecurity, and distrust. The rule of thumb should be, your ex's genuine emergency is your emergency. Their everyday convenience is not.
Clear boundaries are key. Now let's talk about something equally sensitive. Financial realities. Divorce after 50. It often hits the wallet hard. This requires, as the sources say, the man's due diligence and total transparency.
It absolutely does. Divorce after 50 often impacts men significantly because it typically happens during peak or near peak earning years.
Right, when assets have accumulated.
Exactly. So the splitting of pensions, retirement accounts, real estate, maybe a business coupled with a loss of dual income, it necessitates a major financial adjustment for most men.
So step one is facing reality yourself.
Yes, you have to rethink your lifestyle, adjust to a realistic new budget. Be brutally honest with yourself about your cash flow, your assets, your liabilities. For some, this might mean delaying retirement plans or significantly reducing discretionary spending.
And then, when you start dating seriously,
Transparency about ongoing obligations like alimony or child support is non-negotiable. A potential long-term partner needs to understand and respect these commitments because they are a guaranteed liability impacting your shared financial future.
it sounds potentially awkward but necessary.
It can be awkward, but if you're honest about these financial structures from the outset and, crucially, can demonstrate that you're managing them responsibly, it actually builds a foundation for long-term trust and compatibility, especially when you start discussing bigger future plans like potentially cohabitating or merging households down the line. Hiding it only leads to disaster later.
Okay, that covers the complex practicalities. Let's pivot now to Section 4, Intimacy and Sexual Health after 50. This is a topic often surrounded by anxiety, maybe stigma.
Definitely some stigma.
Yet the research offers a surprisingly, maybe even incredibly positive outlook.
It really does. One of the standout findings across multiple sources was that around 70% of adults over 50 report positive changes in their sex lives compared to their younger years.
70%. That's massive. What's behind that?
It's profound, really. The reasons cited include having fewer life inhibitions, less self-consciousness, maybe, fewer worries about accidental pregnancy, certainly, less pressure to perform in a certain way, and maybe most importantly, the ability to build a deeper, emotionally connected bond with a partner.
So quality over quantity, perhaps.
Often, yes. Sex after 50 can genuinely be better because it's rooted more in stability, self-acceptance, trust, and shared intimacy, not just raw physical intensity or achieving a specific outcome.
That's really encouraging. However, we do need to address the unavoidable physical realities for men. Let's talk frankly about things like testosterone decline.
We have to. Testosterone naturally starts to decline, albeit slowly, maybe 1–2% per year, starting around age 35 or 40 for most men. Over time, this can lead to reduced libido, lower energy, and can contribute to potential ED.
ED, erectile dysfunction. Let's define that clearly.
Yes, erectile dysfunction. It simply becomes more prevalent with age, often due to age-related vascular changes, basically. The plumbing doesn't work quite as efficiently as blood flow pathways can get compromised.
And ED isn't just about sex, is it? It can signal other things.
That's a critical point. ED often serves as the canary in the coal mine, potentially signaling underlying health issues like diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular problems, things that need immediate medical attention, completely separate from the dating aspect.
So troubleshooting ED needs a proactive and holistic approach then.
Absolutely. It starts with aggressively addressing those controllable lifestyle factors first. Regular cardiovascular exercise gets the blood flowing everywhere. Quitting smoking, huge impact on vascular health. Improving diet, managing stress.
And talking to your doctor is key.
Essential. Men need to talk frankly with their doctors about any medications they're currently taking, because many common prescriptions for blood pressure, depression, etc. can inadvertently dampen libido or affect function. Sometimes a simple medication adjustment can make a difference.
And importantly, there are modern medical solutions available too, right? This isn't something men just have to accept.
Absolutely not. There should be no shame in seeking solutions. Age is not a sentence for a diminished sex life if you don't want it to be. Modern treatments exist, and they span a wide range.
Like what?
Well, beyond lifestyle tweaks and oral medications like Viagra or Cialis, there are things like core wave therapy. This uses low-intensity shock waves, totally non-invasive, to encourage the growth of new blood vessels in the penis, improving natural function over time.
Interesting.
Then you have other options like penile injections, vacuum erection devices. The point is, men have numerous pathways to maintain an active and satisfying sex life well into their 80s and even 90s, provided they seek expert urologic care and are open to exploring options.
But the medical fixes, they're only half the battle, aren't they? The research suggests the true secret to sexual health longevity is fostering emotional and physical intimacy.
Bingo. And that hinges almost entirely on honest communication.
Breaking the silence.
You have to break the silence. You need to be able to talk openly with your partner about changing desires, new boundaries you might have, and, yes, even body image concerns, which affect men too.
That vulnerability again.
Yes. The sources indicate something like 1 in 5 people over 50 feel uncomfortable even discussing changes to their sex drive with their partner. If you can't talk about it, you can't work through it together. Honest conversation is the ultimate lubricant, so to speak, for a healthy, evolving sex life.
And what about performance pressure? That can be a real issue, especially if things aren't working perfectly physically.
Huge issue. And a powerful technique mentioned to combat that pressure is mindfulness.
Mindfulness during sex, how does that work?
If your mind is wandering to work deadlines, bills, anxieties, am I doing this right? You're not alone. But practicing mindfulness means consciously bringing your full attention, not judgmentally, to the present moment. Focusing intently on every sensation, every touch, your partner's breathing, your own breath.
What does that achieve?
It profoundly intensifies arousal because you're actually experiencing it fully. It deepens the emotional connection. And crucially, it acts as a powerful antidote to performance anxiety because you're focused on process and the connection, not just the end goal.
Okay. Beyond communication and mindfulness, the sources also really encourage exploration beyond intercourse, expanding the definition of sex.
Hugely important.
Yeah.
Especially if intercourse becomes more challenging sometimes. Embrace oral sex. Focus on slow, sensual, full-body massages that build intimacy and pleasure without pressure.
And what about toys?
Don't dismiss the use of sex toys. either alone to understand your own body better, or ideally with a partner as part of shared exploration. For men, for example, exploring the prostate either externally or with specifically designed internal massagers can lead to incredibly intense, often quite different orgasms. It offers another pathway to pleasure that might be less dependent on achieving a rigid erection.
So, being open to new things, let's move to some specific practical tips for joy and comfort, because creativity seems key here.
Creativity is absolutely key. A simple yet highly effective strategy mentioned is routine breaking.
Meaning?
Get out of the bedroom sometimes, seriously. Having sex in new places around the house, the sofa, the kitchen table, maybe even a different room, anywhere you can safely be alone and adventurous. It injects novelty, excitement, and can heighten arousal simply because it breaks the mental monotony.
Simple but effective. What else?
Deepen that sensual connection through non-coital acts. Showering or bathing together came up a lot. Use candles, nice bath salts, maybe just take turns slowly soaping each other up. These acts release oxytocin.
The bonding hormone.
Exactly. That powerful soothing chemical linked with trust, emotional bonding, and, yes, sexual arousal. Another simple tip, sleeping naked. Increases skin-to-skin contact, again releasing more oxytocin, deepening connection, and it can even boost self-esteem and body confidence.
Okay, those are great for connection. What about adapting to obstacles? If there are physical challenges like ED or maybe joint pain?
Trying new sex positions can be a game changer. For example, the cowgirl or reverse cowgirl position, where the partner is on top, is often recommended. Why? Because she can control the pace and depth of penetration, which can relieve performance pressure on the man if he's concerned about maintaining an erection.
Takes the focus off him a bit.
Right. Or something like simple sideline spooning provides maximum close intimacy with minimal physical exertion, which is ideal if joint pain or stamina is an issue. And a crucial practical tip. Always use plenty of good quality lubrication if needed. Comfort enhances pleasure for both partners. Don't let dryness be a barrier.
Good point. And finally, what about keeping the spark alive mentally?
Don't forget imagination and play. This is where mature confidence can really shine. You can use provocative texts or suggestive voice notes during the day to build sexual tension when you're apart. Share carefully curated fantasy ideas, maybe.
Or even just talk about it.
Yes. Take the time to have a dedicated brainstorming session together. What new things might you both be curious to try? Sex between two consenting adults who trust each other should feel good, fun, and mutually satisfying. Often that shared creativity and willingness to play is the greatest aphrodisiac available at any age.
That's a fantastic way to look at it. Okay, we've covered a huge amount of ground. The internal shift, the mature relationship blueprint, navigating complexities, and revitalizing intimacy.
We have. So if we synthesize everything we've covered today, what's the core takeaway? I think it's this. Intimacy and love after 50 are fundamentally rooted in that uncompromising self-respect we started with. Radical emotional honesty, and the genuine pursuit of companionship over superficiality. You're not seeking a partner to complete you or solve your problems anymore.
Right.
You're seeking a partner who enriches the intentional, purposeful life you have already built for yourself through that internal work.
That's powerful. So let's just review those key actionable steps for you, the listener, as you move forward from this deep dive. First, live your code. Define your principles, hold yourself to them.
Build that self-respect.
Second, embody presence. Stand tall, make that eye contact, speak slowly and clearly. Project worthiness.
Own your space.
Third, prioritize health. Your physical state reflects your discipline, your commitment to being here for the long haul.
Non-negotiable.
And finally, communicate honestly about your desires, your intentions, your past, your boundaries, your future, especially around intimacy.
Crucial.
And let's not forget the profound benefits here. A healthy sex life isn't just about pleasure. Studies consistently link it to improved heart health, lower blood pressure, better stress management, even better quality sleep. It's a part of overall well-being.
Absolutely. So maybe here's a final provocative thought for you, the listener, to chew on as we wrap up. The source material, the data, it tells us that the life expectancy for a man starting at 50 is nearly 90 years old. That's potentially 39 more years of conscious, active living ahead of you.
39 years, that's a long time. It's practically another adult lifetime.
It really is. So if the man you were yesterday, the one defined by past roles or relationships, is gone, and you are truly starting this new, more intentional chapter built on self-respect, here's the question. What bold, honest desire, maybe a dream you've shelved, a goal you've deferred, a relationship requirement you haven't dared voice that you've been hiding, perhaps even from yourself? What desire will you finally own and decide to act on? starting today.